After my parents passed away, I thought I had a sister to rely on, but it turns out she's going to abandon me so she can run off with her rich boyfriend. So I do something I probably shouldn't have done. I hook up with her boyfriend behind her back, and this is how it goes.
Has your heart ever hurt? Chances are the answer is yes. Very few of us make it through life unscathed by a painful experience. In fact, surveys show that trauma is a nearly universal venture, with over 80% of Americans laying claim to it. And yet, knowing all this doesn't make much of a difference. Hey guys, I'm Ivy, 21. I've recently lost both my parents to a road accident. Needless to say, it felt like the end of the world, and I was very close to them, and when they died, it felt like both the supporting pillars of life had been taken away in that instant. It was difficult of a time for both me and my sister, Ava. Ava is the only family I had left, or at least until recently. Growing up, I'd always looked up to Ava. She was 2 years older than me, and from a very young age, I had idolized her. She was beautiful, smart, confident. I wanted to be just like her. It wasn't just me who loved Ava. Ava loved me just as much, if not more. We shared everything from secrets to dreams, and all there was never a doubt in my mind that she would always be there for me. After all, she had promised me this and has kept her promise since then. I remembered how when I was 5, we had gone to the beach. You see, we had a lot of fun building sandcastles, collecting seashells, and splashing in the waves. However, suddenly the sky turned dark and people started running. A wave was coming, and due to the panicked crowd, I got separated from my family. I was alone and scared when I saw Ava running towards me, even though I was close to the sea. Seeing her come towards me was such a relief, and I thought that I was saved, but somehow we both ended up getting sucked in by the strong current and, well, the retreating water. Fortunately, we were saved and returned to our parents. When our parents scolded Ava for running despite them strictly asking her not to be anywhere close to the sea, she simply said, "But Ivy was alone. I couldn't leave her there." It's not like we're never fought or had disagreements. I don't think God makes any such sibling, but even when fighting, Ava would always make sure that I was alright. I remember the worst fight we ever had was when Ava was leaving for college. Well, it wasn't a fight per se, it was just me being cranky that she was leaving me. What happened was, I was in my room not talking to Ava, working on an art project that involved a lot of art supplies. Scattered across the coffee table, Ava walked in, looking for a quiet place to study for a final exams before heading to college. She glanced at the mess that I made and immediately sighed, frustration evident in her eyes. She snapped at me, asked why couldn't I just keep the room clean for once. Naturally, I got defensive, saying I needed the supplies and maybe she could go and study in the living room. It quickly turned into a heated conversation where we blamed each other for things, most of which weren't even true. Finally, I shouted at her that at least I wasn't a selfish person, not as selfish as her, leaving my sister behind all alone. For a moment, there was a tense silence, her eyes softened, and she looked at me with pity. She came to hug me and promised me that no matter where she went, she would always be there for me, whenever and wherever I needed her. Guys, if only she had kept that promise. I've been calling my sister continuously for the past 3 days, and she, isn't answering. I've left a dozen voicemails, but she hasn't returned any of them. Let me start from the beginning. After our parents died, I thought Ava and I would become really close. I thought that she would be there for me as always and that we would support each other through the grief. But I was wrong. Just a few weeks after the funeral, Ava met Noah, a well-earning technical lead in a leading MNC, who swept her off her feet. She quickly became infatuated with him, spending all her time with him and neglecting me completely. At first, I tried to understand. I knew Ava was in pain too. And maybe this was her way of coping, but as days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, it became pretty crystal clear that she was moving on with her life without me. I was left alone in our childhood home, surrounded by memories of our parents, while Ava was out enjoying her new life with Noah. I tried discussing this with her. I tried to reach out to her multiple times. I called her, texted her, and even showed up at her apartment unannounced. But every time she brushed me off with excuses. She was too busy, she had plans with Noah, she needed space. Well, Then a week ago, she came back home and I was happy to see her. But she didn't even look at me well. She simply acknowledged my presence and went straight to her room. When I followed, I was shocked to see what she was doing. She was packing her belongings into a bag. I asked her why she was packing her stuff and where she's going. To this, she turned around to face me, clapped her hands, and with a wide smile on her face told me that Noah had asked her to move in with him. I couldn't believe it. I asked her how could she agree to leave me behind all alone. Her expression changed from happiness to anger. She said that she really likes Noah and was planning of having a future with him. She further said that one day she'll get married and leave her. It's not like they could live together forever. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said, "But you promised." I stammered. She ignored it and started packing, and as she packed her bags and started to leave, I held her bags tight and begged her not to leave me alone. I told her how she's the only remaining family I have. But she paid no heed to my request and asked me to grow up. In the end, she left, leaving me all alone in our family home, staring at the photo of the two of us with our parents at the beach, smiling and happy. Tears were streaming down my face as I wondered how everything had gone so wrong. I felt a deep sense of betrayal. How could Ava do this? How could she forget about her little sister when I needed her the most? As the weeks passed, my sadness began to morph into something else. Anger. I was furious with Ava for abandoning me. I'd lost our parents, and now I felt like I was losing her too. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. She was out there living a carefree life with Noah, while I was stuck inside the house, drowning in grief and loneliness. A week has passed since, and I've been waiting for my sister to come back or at least call to ask how I'm doing, but I haven't heard from her, not even once. At first, I was mad at Noah for taking my sister away from me. However, now I've cried my heart out. I've realized that it was my sister who abandoned me. She broke the promise. She made all those years back, and I never forgave her for that, and I will not now. I'll make her pay for leaving me at the time when I needed her the most. I want her to suffer just as much as I'm suffering right now, too. I want her to feel the same pain and betrayal that I'm feeling. The thought alone gives me a twisted sense of satisfaction. If she could abandon me so easily, then I could do the same to her, but a different way, a way that would absolutely devastate her. The question is, what can I do next? Any advice, suggestions, or tips are welcome because the crueler the idea, the better. Updates. Number 1. Hey guys, it's me, I'm back. I never in my wildest dreams could have imagined that people would find something negative to write against me in a situation like this. Many of you thought that I was being a brat who was jealous of the fact that my sister had someone else in her life or had a life of her own. Honestly, you can't even understand how much one needs their family in tough times like this. I've not got nothing to say to you guys. It isn't like that she just simply had a life outside of me, no. I'm angry at the fact that she's cut me off completely out of her life. Anyways, I spent the first week after I first posted moping and crying, hopelessly waiting for my sister to come around, which she never did. Around the second week, my sadness started turning into grief and anger. I know I said that I would get back at my sister and make her pay for leaving me, all alone in my last post, but there's a difference between saying something in anger and actually going through with it. But after a week of waiting for my sister around and not hearing back from her at all, I was sure that I needed to do something. There was no way I could forgive her for abandoning me, so I might have done something either really stupid or just really evil. I hooked up with her boyfriend. Yeah, I did, and I did it for every petty reason. So, since she left me for Noah, I decided to use Noah to get back at her. It started with a simple idea to get a job at Noah's company. I applied for a position there online, leveraging my skills and qualifications to secure an entry-level job. Noah had no idea who I was, and he didn't even know Ava had a sister. Maybe she didn't consider me worth mentioning to her, a perfect little boyfriend, which worked perfectly for me. I knew that I had to be cautious, so I took it slow. I made sure that I always looked my best around him, and slowly I started to catch his eye. I would smile and greet him warmly whenever we saw each other. At first, it was just polite conversations, comments about work, the weather, casual things, but I knew how to play the game. I laughed at his jokes and complimented his ideas, and gradually we started to, share longer conversations during lunch breaks and after-work gatherings. It wasn't long before he started taking a genuine interest in me. He would linger a bit longer when we chit-chatted, greet me often, and offer to drop me off and find reasons to just talk to me. I wasn't even directly reporting to him or even flirting, really. Yesterday evening, after a particularly successful project, the office decided to go out for some drinks, right? I saw my opportunity and took it, and I made sure just to sit next to Noah, engaging him in all the right conversation, listening intently and sharing stories that would draw him in. Well, that night, after a few drinks, Noah suggested we grab a coffee somewhere quiet. I agreed, knowing this was my chance, and we went to a nearby cafe, and it was there that our conversation turned more personal. Noah. He confided in me about his pressure at work, his dreams, and his bond with his family, and I acted very sympathetic and understanding, slightly touching his hand and enticing him. I didn't have to wait for long before he suggested that we go somewhere a bit more quieter and a little more comfy. So we checked into a nearby motel, and I guess you can imagine the rest. Well, I know many of you will judge me for what I've done, but I don't care. All I know is that I'm just getting started. Updates number 2. It's been a whole week since I last posted, and it's been a colorful one to say the least. After my first night together with Noah, I knew I had to leave traces of his infidelity for Ava to catch. I would have done it for the first time I hooked up with him, but I had to figure out how loyal he was to Ava. What if he had told her about me or what we've done? My plan would have failed before it even started. So once I made sure that Noah had no feelings or guilt of loyalty towards Ava, I took the next step. I've hooked up 4 times in the past week with Noah and left tiny little traces everywhere for Ava. I started small, leaving love marks places where I knew that she would be able to see them. I bought cute store-bought love notes, scribbled intimate messages, and slipped them into Noah's pocket. Or left them in his car. I even went so far as to wear a particular shade of lipstick, a bold red, that Ava never wore. I made sure to leave smudges of it on Noah's shirt collar, and these were all the subtle signs, but I knew Ava would eventually notice it. And then I did something that even I did not expect from me. After another hookup with Noah yesterday, I decided to leave a more obvious clue. As I was getting dressed, I took one of the skimpiest lacy dresses I owned and slipped it into his bag. I made sure that it had a wine stain on it so that she knew it belonged to some other woman, since she never drinks wine. It was a daring move, but I knew that it would be the final straw. Well, guys, guess who came to pay me a visit today? Yep, Ava. Showed up at my apartment this morning, tears streaming down her face, and she looked devastated, and for a brief moment I felt a pang of guilt. But I pushed it aside, reminding myself of the pain that she caused me. Ivy, I don't know what to do. Noah, he's cheating on me. She held my stained dress, her hand shaking, feigning sympathy. I wrapped my arms around her. It's funny how far I had to get to hug from my own sister. I offered her a cup of tea and asked her to tell me something. Everything. She told me how her boyfriend had been acting distant lately and how she had been catching all the signs, love notes, lipstick, and now the dress. Like any concerned sister, I asked her if she had any idea who it could be. She said she had an idea and started sobbing again. She starts crying about how she could not lose Noah as he was all she had. Needless to say, it hurt me more than I could have ever told you guys. It made me realize that my sister has most probably stopped accounting me as a family altogether, or maybe I just don't exist or mean much to her. However, this was all the confrontation I needed to continue my revenge. So I plastered a fake sympathetic look on my face and consoled her. Eventually, she went back to her boyfriend's place. She didn't even consider staying back with me since we had both caught up for so long. Not that I asked her anyways. I guess she would rather live with the guy who cheated on her than her own sister. She made her choice and I made mine. Anyways, guys, I will keep you updated. Update number 3. Guys, I honestly did not expect such an engagement on my story. It's been about 2 weeks since I last posted, and the amount of comments I've received asking for an update is absolutely insane. Anyways, Ava and Noah broke up. Yeah, my plan has attained half completion. Before you ask, no, it was not my plan to just break them apart. I want Ava to suffer the way I did. How she'll suffer, you ask? I guess there's something you'll learn over time. Let me start from where I left off. After Ava went back from my place, she stayed quiet for a while and did not confront Noah. I don't know whether she was being naive, blind in love, or just didn't want to leave the comfort that came with Noah's wealth. However, it worked just fine for me. I, on the other hand, kept seeing Noah. Each encounter with him was a calculated move. We continued to hook up regularly, and I made sure to spend more time with him outside of work as well. We went out for dinners, attended social events, and even took weekend trips together. Noah was falling for me hard, just as I intended. I kept a close eye on his feelings, ensuring that his infatuation grew stronger with each passing day. I played the perfect part, being attentive, affectionate, and always available. Finally, one evening after a romantic dinner, Noah took my hand, looked deeply into my eyes, and he confessed that he has deep feelings for me. I pretended to be surprised, but inside I was elated. This was exactly what I've been waiting for. You see, I pretended to be confused and did not reply. I made some excuse and left early, leaving him just as confused. The next morning, I received a call from Ava, which surprisingly had become a common thing now that she needed me. She was going on and on about how Noah came back home late and had been in a foul mood and would not even look at her. I knew it was time for the next step. With Noah's intentions confirmed, I asked her to meet for coffee before I left for work, and she readily agreed. When she arrived, her eyes were puffy, crying. She looked exhausted, and I advised her to confront Noah and demand the truth. I manipulated my words and said that she needed to know if he was seeing someone else. She must have been really down to be persuaded so easily. She agreed that I'm right, and that she knew she had to confront him. The same day, Noah held me back in between work and demanded an answer to his proposal. I simply said that I doubted he's been seeing someone else too, along with me, and left. I knew my work was done. That evening, Ava confronted Noah. He didn't even try to deny it. He admitted everything and broke up with her on the spot, telling her to leave. Heartbroken, humiliated, Ava came crawling to me, seeking solace. She cried uncontrollably. Feeling utterly devastated, I wrapped my arms around her, offering what I hoped looked sincere and comfort. I told her it would be okay, that she could just stay with me as long as she needed. Guys, I'm yet to accept Noah's proposal, which I think I will soon. The only final step of my plan will remain. I'll keep you guys posted on what happens next. Update number 4. Hey guys, I know it's been a month since I've last updated, but don't worry, this update will be worth the wait. Let me start from where I left off. So after taking my sister in, I pretended to be the supportive sibling she needed. On the surface, I was the perfect sister, caring, attentive, and always there for her. But beneath the facade, I was executing my plan to ruin her life. See, my sister Ava had hurt me deeply by abandoning me when I needed her the most, and was determined to make her pay. So I first started by undermining her professional life. To sabotage Ava at work, I reached out to her nemesis Rachel, a colleague who had always resented Ava's success. I pretended to be concerned about Ava's behavior, implying that she has been going through a tough time and that her mental wealth might not be optimal for work. Rachel, eager to see Ava fail, eagerly spread these rumors throughout the office. Whispering gossip about subtle manipulation quickly took their toll, and Ava's reputation was crumbling. She was distressed that she started making more and more errors at work. Mistakes both real and fabricated, magnified. Eventually, the pressure became too much and the company had to let Ava go. Next, I turned my attention to her social circle. She didn't have many friends to begin with, and I started planting all these doubts among her friends, suggesting Ava has been talking behind their backs and betraying their trust. See, I would casually mention things that she supposedly said about them, fueling their jealousy and resentment. Slowly but surely, her friends began to distance themselves from her, leaving her isolated and alone. As for her love life, that was the easiest to ruin. All I did was create a couple of fake dating profiles, talk to Ava for days, set up dates, and not show up. This was more than enough to crumble her confidence. At the same time, I spread lies about her behavior, making it difficult for her to form new relationships. Well, word got around that she was unstable and an untrustworthy person, pushing people away. Once I was sure that Ava had no one left to rely on and nowhere to go, I dropped the final bomb. I told her that I'd recently started seeing someone around the same time as her breakup, but I didn't mention it earlier because she was going through a tough time. I told her that he had asked me to move in with him. Her reaction was just as I anticipated. Shocked and hurt. She couldn't believe I was leaving her during such a difficult time. It led to a heated argument with her accusations of abandonment just like everyone else had. What a hypocrite. I feigned guilt and packed my bags just knowing well enough that she would follow me. Well, I took a taxi to Noah's house, the same Noah who was Ava's boyfriend. Ex, I should say. He was waiting for me outside, and as I got out of the Uber, I ran to him and kissed him, making sure Ava saw us. Just as I expected, Ava arrived shortly after, her face twisted in furious pain. She started shouting, calling me names, and rushing towards me to attack me. But the security guard stopped her, and Noah thought her crazy ex was back to make trouble, so he calls the police. They arrived quickly. As the police escorted her away, I sighed in satisfaction, looking back at Ava, knowing well enough that she got what she deserved. But I do have to ask you guys, did I go too far?
Guys, let's jump right into this comment. It was a -1, but let me know what you think about it. It comes from Baby Diana 1414. Okay, hold up. This story is a mess. Total mess. I mean, seriously, hooking up with your sister's boyfriend and then systematically ruining her life? That's some next level vindictiveness right there. I get it, you felt abandoned and hurt, but come on. There's better ways to deal with this family drama than turning into some kind of supervillain. What you did was straight up weird and cruel, and now you're sitting there all alone acting like you're some kind of victim. Sorry, but you have brought this upon yourself. Maybe it's time to take a good look into the mirror and realize that you're the reason you have no family left. Guys, do you agree with that comment? Yes, no, maybe so. Drop it down below. And if you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button just so you never miss another story. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind.